you not?
Do I not have the internet?
No, do you not watch? Okay, fine. Tell me about your week. Because obviously the only reason you asked me was so you can tell me about your week. So tell me about your week.
Such a broken person. Hey, what's up? It's Tom Papa. Thank God. Can you imagine?
It's nice to drop in on people who talk like family.
I can't. You're here, so I don't have to talk to him. Like that's
honestly, I'm comfortable with that. Welcome, Tom Papa.
Nice to see y'all.
What a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
So I kind of roped him into this. You know, like this is the second project I've roped him into.
Yeah, that's true. But I like it because you always come up with creative stuff
that no one cares about.
Well, yeah, but I enjoyed doing it.
It is a creative thing, this one. He roped me into it, too, technically.
Yeah, it's really smart. I like it.
Well, Tom Papa, obviously, I mean, the biggest... When I think of you, I think of, like, just top-notch comedian here in New York City, Comedy Cellar. That's because coming up, you're a guy that I watched. And I was just like, oh, my God. Like, I can't even imagine being at that level. You're so much more. You host shows. You bake bread.
Yes.
We're trying
all
to
of these
that
things
out.
are true. All of these things are... I won't dispute any of this.
Well,
How'd you get into bread and why?
Bread.
Is it a serious pursuit, bread, or is it a hobby, bread?
It's pretty serious.
I love this.
It's pretty serious, but I'm like kind of at the edge of what do I do? Like, do I keep this as a really great hobby, which I really truly love, and I'll get into why, or do I take it a step further and start sharing it with a lot more people, do something business-wise with it? Because I have so many people now through the years and through talking about it on podcasts and stuff, people know me for bread almost as much as comedy.
This is killing me.
I was just on a flight on American Airlines, and at the end of the flight attendant came over and leaned in. He said, "How was the bread?"
Really?
Yeah. So it's like everywhere.
You're known for this.
But how was it?
How
Did
do
you
I
give
not-
him a real answer?
Yeah, it was
like
it
it's
was
an airline.
garbage.
It's
garbage bread.
What's the matter with you?
How
It's
dare you
frozen.
call that bread?
I have to get into. I mean, like we're kind of in this like era of. It might be on like the tail end of it, but like the keto, no carb, yakety yak.
Yeah.
So how does one become bready?
Well, I love bread, and a little backstory on how I slid into it all was
Love to hear this.
I was writing on a show called Red Oaks that was an Amazon
Yeah,
show.
Greer Barnes was on that too.
Yeah, that's right. And I was working on that show, and one of the writers during our breaks was talking about how he's got into baking bread with a sourdough starter, and it's like this weird glob that's like built with flour and water and the natural yeast from the atmosphere around us, and that's how people made bread in the beginning. And he started getting into it, and he was just describing the whole thing. And I went home, and at dinner I was telling my wife and daughters about it, and they were kind of intrigued, and I was kind of excited about it. And for Christmas, my daughter started a sourdough starter for me on the side.
Is that the sweetest thing in the world?
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm just picturing this story. It's a very nice dining room. There's some opera music maybe playing in the background.
Yeah.
And you know, very perfect family.
Yeah.
And he leans to his wife and he goes, I don't know your wife's name, Margaret.
Cynthia.
Margaret, dear, Cynthia, dear. Today,
It's a beautiful.
I learned this wonderful thing about bread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Papa, tell me more.
Daughter has yeast.
And my daughter's thinking I could either try and shop for this guy, or I can just put some flour and water in a bowl.
But
and
it's
see if it
actual
comes to
work,
life.
though. So when was this? What year? Just curious.
This has got to be 7 years ago.
Okay, so this is well before, because during COVID, everybody and their mother suddenly became the yeast collector. And it never worked. It didn't work.
Everybody got into it. We ran out of yeast, and everybody's like, well, the sourdough starter. And I saw Jake Gyllenhaal on Colbert
Damn
talking
him.
about, I'm into bread now. I'm like, no, you're not.
Like hell you are, you fucking 0.2% body fat. But
yeah. So I started. And then from that I started following my friend's method and got into making it, and it just got into it. It was like I always cooked a lot, but I was like I wasn't baking. To me always seemed like something too precise to get into.
Sure.
But bread's somewhere in the middle. You can be kind of sloppy. It's a little more artistic. You can kind of feel it. So anyway, I got really into it and started studying it and getting into it and making it. And then I started hearing what you were saying about how like we can't eat bread anymore. And I'm like, that does not make sense to me.
Yeah.
That for thousands of years we've been living sustained on bread, and then we show up and we can't have bread. something's wrong there. And once you realize that the stuff that we're eating that people pass off as bread is not really bread.
There's that's what I wanted to hear.
A lot of filler in it.
30 ingredients, preservatives,
I've
sugar.
heard that like wheat today is genetically like entirely distinct from its
GMO.
Yeah,
from like ancestral grade, from like its original. Yeah, GMO. Yeah,
I don't even know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, you know what you're talking about.
Is there a
You
copay?
know that he's breadless. He's like the most breadless person I know. There's no one who dodges bread. This one, like, it's a bullet.
All right, it's not fair. I don't do it. I do it because I feel at this point when I eat a lot of carbs, I just get like very bloated, and it just
You do, and you do have to make a choice of like what you're going to eat. But if you do want to venture in bread, at least eat real bread. Bread should just have flour, water, salt, and yeast. That's it. And when I make
flour, water, salt, and yeast. That's
salt, yeast. That's what makes bread. The FDA had to change the definition of bread so they could classify it because the stuff that we've been eating our whole lives, even the things with like the little country signs on it.
Sure, no.
It's not really bread.
Almost certainly
It's not really bread. So when I started making it and eating it and giving it to my friends who thought they had like gluten issues. They're able to eat my bread, and we're not like turning into big fatties from eating my bread. You know?
You don't. You absolutely not.
You know, so it's like there's definitely something to the purity of it, where you can, if you eat the right stuff, and it goes beyond bread.
Yeah.
If you just eat stuff that's real,
It's got some love in it.
There's not as much consequence. I mean, yeah, you're going to get some pastas and stuff. You can definitely carb out for sure.
I fall asleep with a whole baguette in my mouth, basically every night.
Yeah.
No, that's the guy's name, Baguette.
Yeah.
You can swing. You take punches. Go ahead, Tom. This is the cellar.
Honestly, are you kidding me?
We're not doing. And I would imagine that all people ask you about now is bread.
But it's so earnest.
It is.
It's such an earnest love.
Well, that's the thing that I always find myself in an earnest bread trap.
Yeah.
Is when I go on. I was just doing a bunch of interviews for my stand-up tour, and once they start asking about bread, I just start talking bread with real sincerity, and they're like, "Oh, we thought you were coming to San Luis Obispo because you're funny." I'm like, "No, I'm just coming to, Sometimes you ever do like after shows and people come up and they're like, "That was a really good show. Did you, and you answer sincerely, well, the crowd was a little this, that." And
they don't want to hear that.
They just glaze
over. They don't want to hear that. Just say thank you. Don't ever rob someone of giving you a compliment.
Yes.
Just say thank you.
Thank you. Once you really get into it, you think, "Oh, they really want to talk to me about what I'm really interested in." No.
So much better than them coming up and being like, "You know what you should have done." And you're like, God, no.
We get that too.
I was just at a wedding. I had a guy recognize me at the wedding. He didn't know I was going to be there. It was just like, a big wedding. And he's like, "Oh, you're Tom Papa, the comedian. I love you, whatever." And then later in the night when everyone's drunk, he came up to me and he goes, "Can I just ask you one question?"
Jesus.
Then that's what I said in my head. Jesus. And he goes, "How do I make it in comedy?" And I was like, and then he goes, it was like a millisecond, and he goes, "I'm just kidding. I would never ask you that question." I was like,
so he made it. He made it in comedy.
This guy's all right.
I give that, but I tell the truth. I get that question. I got asked that question the other day at the gym, and I'm like, "Well, you gotta go 3 times a night. They don't want to hear that. They do not want to hear that.
No,
that
the real thing.
You just have to eat shit for years.
Have to die inside and cut off everyone you know and love.
Yeah.
That's okay. So how would you answer it? Just curious. How do you make it in comedy,
Tom?
Like, let's say you answered it with the earnest sort of orientation that you would approach a bread question.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's an interesting. That makes it me want to answer it. Yeah. Well, first of all, are you really funny? Do you really love comedy, and are you truly funny? Do you think that you're truly funny?
Everyone thinks they're funny.
A lot of people.
Really?
But that'll knock some percentage off. And then, write and get up on stage. There's no other way. And you have to do it. And just know that you probably won't get good at it for about 6 to 8 years.
Real talk.
Yeah.
Real talk.
I mean, that's being
What
fair.
were your first 6 to 8 years like?
They were here in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were they like?
They were glorious. It was amazing.
Was a heyday.
And it really was just super fun. And we were, when you look back, I always say, like, I used to ride a motorcycle. And all of these years that I've
pre-bread
motorcycle bread,
all of these years that I haven't been on a bike, when I look back at a bike now, it's like, that's insane to be on a motorcycle around like trucks and people. It's just like, what was it?
It is death wishy.
Every day that you get away from it, it seems crazier and crazier.
Yeah.
Every day I'm away from the early days of comedy, I'm like, how did we do that?
Seriously?
We made $5 a night.
Well,
I lost money.
I would buy a big bagel with egg and cheese on it and split that. That was your meals for the whole day.
God bless.
And we lived on a futon in a roach-infested thing with Kyle Dunnigan sleeping in the back. But when you were in it, like now, if you told me I had to sleep in a roach-infested place with a futon, I'd be like, oh, no, I can't. I'm going to have to go do something else because I'm a grown-up. But when I wasn't a grown-up yet and I was just so excited to be a comedian, every situation on paper seems like a horror show.
Yeah.
And it was a delight.
Well, I mean,
Sure.
let's consider your game plan here, just really, okay? Because it's insane to think about it, because this was a restaurant. So you looked at a Middle Eastern restaurant and thought, I'm going to do jokes in the basement and get famous from it.
They had shawarma in the window.
They're selling falafel upstairs, but I think if I tell jokes downstairs, I will somehow be in movies, which you were.
At least downstairs here was a club. Like, how many times did you get put on shows where they drag you to a bar?
Oh, yeah.
And no one's there for comedy. Mm-mm. No one asked for comedy.
Yep.
No one knows it's coming. Mm-hmm. And some guy all of a sudden in the corner says, and now please welcome Tom Papa. And you have to stand up and start telling jokes to these people. I mean, at least this had some semblance of a structure. That place, those places for years.
It's very true.
Still happens.
Of course it still happens.
I did some gig, and it paid very well at this very fancy restaurant right on the Upper East Side. And the guy had a private room for his family, and he comes out, and he's like, oh, it's going to be so great. I love comedy.
Yeah.
They don't know there's going to be a show. And I'm like, whoa. No.
Yeah.
Do not have me go in and just start insulting your family.
Yeah, I know. You know, what was those situations I always learned? Make sure you say when you introduce that this is a comedian. They have to at least know you're not just an inappropriate man coming in and shitting on all the guests.
I'm like, wow, this waiter's really a jerk.
Yeah, what's with this guy? Because really, at its base, that's what we are.
But it is a bit
We're these
like
inappropriate grown-ups.
It's a bit like Rocky running in the snow, though, isn't it? Like where you're just sort of like sandbagged, right?
Totally.
That's how you learn to dance for your dollar hard and fast.
You get strong.
You get strong that way.
You get really strong.
I mean, in Boston,
Right?
The Green Dragon.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you said. It would convert from like an 100% alcoholic watering hole.
Yeah.
Like that is where people in Faneuil Hall who really knew the city of Boston would go to get drunk at 2 p.m.
Right.
And they had been there since 2 p.m. and now it's 6 p.m. and ta-da, it's a comedy show. That's who you're performing to.
But it makes you good. I find that's the kind of, and I feel bad for them. Like new comics now, they're in such cozy, safe space environments, and they put together these little rooms in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I was going to say it's called Brooklyn.
It's always supportive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good in some regard because it gives you the ability to get up, but it doesn't give you the skill or the chops or the hard outer shell that you need to walk into any situation, anywhere, from that fancy party to a big ballroom, a corporation,
Long Island.
You know, all Jewish, all Catholic, or whatever, and you can survive.
Yes,
you have to go through that, or you can't. Those little precious flowers that are just always supported.
See, Brooklyn for me now
they have a unique voice.
is that
their voice is so unique.
It is that.
As in, for me, it is like the boiling. It's a boiling pot of water. Do you know what I mean?
Right. For us to walk into that,
because we're used to fighting for our attention and getting away with saying things. Like we worked so long and so hard to figure out how to say shit that doesn't walk the room,
right?
But really walks the line.
Yeah.
And you go to Brooklyn, and now you find that line is like basically right in front of you.
Right. Exactly. It's right in front of you, and it's not really super funny. Could I get a water, please?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's your job or I don't.
It's not. I'll climb. I'll climb for water.
Yeah. He was doing the camera, but sure. Just put down the camera. Tom needs a water.
So when did you start giving it? Because you're talking about what?
I mean, just because I watched. I mean, you guys were already pretty established. Like,
when did you arrive?
I'm gonna say, like, I really started grinding in like 2004, 2005.
Okay,
and I remember looking at you guys. There was only.
Thank you so
I'm sure
much.
there was more, but in my mind, I was like, "There's 8 comedians that work this city.
Yeah,
like, they're the
right.
ones that are Gotham, the small Gotham.
Yeah.
They're at the Cellar. They're at the comic strip, and it was like such a small group of people, and they were so good. Like it was.
Yeah.
It just looked like the coolest thing in the world. You're like, there's like 8 dudes that do this.
What a great environment! Like to be able to, like to have that challenge in front of you that you've got to get good. You have to impress these people so they let you hang around. And then the standard was just, without knowing it, we were all holding each other to this really high standard. So what a great place to grow. And that's what's so magical about New York is that it's still that. Like when you watch people come through, there's still, at any moment you could have one of these guys walk into the room and they're going to have to up their game.
I feel like it used to be more gate kept by the veterans.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
Comics,
like
I think the comics did, yeah.
Like I had to impress the people who were above me on the totem pole. I had to curry their favor, make them laugh. They had to find me funny, and that's how I earned my keep. Really.
Truly.
And now it feels like, just like based on like influencer culture, Instagrammy, social media, it's a lot of like, I'll shake your hand if you shake mine. I'll follow you if you follow me. I feel like there's less of that like, who the hell are you?
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There was a hazing. It was like you had to scrape and claw to get approval to get in.
Which I love.
You guys, but
it was, yeah.
I always felt that watching the comedians at that time, male or female, they all wanted to do better than the last comic.
Yeah.
Like it was really, really important to them. It wasn't important to get their viewpoint out. They wanted to do better. Didn't matter if it was a Tuesday at 9 o'clock. They were like, I have to do better.
Isn't there something sort of endemic, though, to the thing where you don't want to let the audience down? Because we're so sensitive to energy.
Yeah,
if they were just... Meh.
That's a little bit of a trap, though, especially like... I mean, there's a time when you can't have bad sets, or the waitresses will tell them, the wait staff will tell the manager, and then the manager will tell the booker, and then you might not get as many spots. But after a certain point, when you're kind of made and you're okay, I have that. I suffer from it immensely, where I want everyone to have a good time. I want to put on a good show, but you also, to grow and use these rooms for what they really should be used for, which is to get better, you do have to suck. I remember watching Sarah Silverman at Largo, and it was like killer, 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 and it was her show, killer, 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 and then she comes on, and it's, not going that great because she's trying all new stuff. And at one point she said to the audience, just so you know, I could kill at any minute if I wanted to, but I've got to get through this. And it was like, that was such a brave thing.
Super.
And because I want everyone to have a good time. I want them to walk away saying Tom's the best. But you've got to be strong enough to eat it to get better.
Do I love hearing this? Like to death? Because, I mean, I don't know. It's like, there is a part of me that, and also I MC a lot. Right, as an MC, it's not necessarily.
He was an MC here. He was a
you
house
MC'd
hosted
here a lot.
Oh, for years. Yeah.
I love this. And then what
makes you so good? I think there's a huge value to that.
I do too. I mean,
Right?
I've wanted to do it since the first day I got on stage.
Yeah.
14 years ago, I saw the MC. And I'm like, that's the spot. I don't want to close this thing. I don't want to. I want to be on for the entire night. I want to play all night.
Then it becomes a thing where you get so good at it that it really becomes your show.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden, you're beating out the acts in a way. Like it becomes your. Godfrey was another guy who would do that. He was like, oh, he's bigger than every comic who's coming up on the show right now. This is really the Godfrey show, and we're just filling time in between Godfrey's appearances.
I mean,
I think the greatest value for hosting was that it just made you. It merged your act and your conversation really well. So like it became so natural. Like it made you a singular person up there rather than right. It just it was super valuable.
But it does feel a little bit like a hospitality gig. Do you know what I mean?
There's definitely,
that like what Sarah does in a bar show. I don't think it's as necessary, but in a club when you're emceeing, it feels like there is that there's a job to it.
Well, yeah, you got to track down the comedians. That's the problem. Is that you have to herd
keep
these
the trains
cats
running
that are on
time,
the show,
all of
and
it. Yeah.
That's where the extra comes in. But there is obviously an advantage because you've gone on and you've hosted your own shows on TV, and that's a skill set you had.
Yeah, for sure. Right. The host thing can really give you a lot of work outside of comedy, for sure. You get that thing. You have that you can appeal and turn people on and keep it funny and all that kind of stuff. So. The hardest part was when we started. People were smoking in the club. People were smoking downstairs in that tiny room that's 5 feet tall and 2 inches wide. And people would chain smoke all night long. And we would literally come home and back then you would host one show from 9 o'clock till 2:30 in the morning.
Woofty.
Yeah, and you just come home and just take your clothes off and throw them away. It was intense. And it was so sick. It was so like demented. But then when they stopped, you couldn't smoke anymore. We were like, "Aw, I miss it."
Did you all smoke? Like, I imagine the only way
No.
to survive that amount of secondhand smoke is to jump in.
And it was so funny. I mean, at the cellar, there was the no smoking section, which was that chair.
I was like,
and
it's-
smoking started that chair.
Yeah, it didn't work on airplanes either.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing.
So I mean, you're a guy who's pretty much done everything.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
a lot of things.
Well, all right. So
A
you've
lot of
hosted, you
things.
do comedy, you make bread, and you are also in films. What do you like the most?
Comedy for sure. The writing is really is starting to eke out of like that part of the process. I just handed in my third book, and writing is very satisfying, but it's very isolating.
It is.
It's very, you have to really kind of, the amount of warding off of interruptions, which means your family and your life and going out,
The
and
internet.
all that kind of, the internet, everything. Yeah, it's
Sure,
your phone.
Pornography.
Of
Pornography
course.
is
Yeah,
on the
sure,
internet.
Sure. Thank you, Ryan. I was
In
like,
case you didn't hear what I was saying,
It's
you
not
sit
just
down to
Wikipedia.
write, and then all of a sudden,
On news sites. I do, but stand up is there's no bigger rush in entertainment than that. So that part is really
And it's
fantastic.
immediate.
Yeah,
it's immediate.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the thing about it is
Yeah.
like you do something and you get a reaction. You know.
Yeah.
then and there. Yeah.
But
It
I
is-
think the combination of the writing and then the performing of it, it's really starting to seem now, after all these years, like it truly is this communication that you're having with the audience, with these people. Like it's my job to kind of come up with these things and digest them, and they give me back what they give back, and I return it in another form. And it's starting to really feel like it's this communication, and it's kind of dialing in how specific I'm trying to get in telling those jokes. Like, it's not just about thinking it's funny. It's like, do they really understand what I'm trying to say right now? Like, sometimes jokes won't work, and you're like, why doesn't that work? And then you think about it, oh, they don't even know what I'm saying. So it is this kind of more organic back and forth.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of is the theme of everything that we do. Podcasting, acting, as comics that do all these things. I think that's really, and this is just, you might tell me, this 6 months from now, I'll be like, I was full of shit. I didn't know what I was talking about. But right now, I do believe it's really our objective is communicating and keeping the conversation going forward in some funny way. That seems to be the goal. So the writing of it is really the thing that's turning me.
What is it that I have like 17 questions for him
Yeah.
right now.
Plus, you
that
don't
I've
have to leave- you don't have to leave
I've
your
been
house if you're a
so
writer.
dis-
You just-
I have been
that's the
so
perk.
disciplined
That's
about
really
not
the
jumping.
perk.
Yeah.
But so what is something that you like talking to people about right now? That is because you're talking about this conversation.
Yeah.
And you get to sort of inspire the topic, right?
Yeah.
What is I'm very curious.
My overriding theme, it really is hope. It's really hope. I'm not that cynical, and I don't find that living in cynicism is valuable.
I feel the same way.
I think it can be. You can make you thrash and make you angry, and then you might change things. But like the people that just have this kind of nihilistic giving up thing, I have no space for it, and I see it as a real
That
waste
is
of time.
95% of the comedy community.
Really?
Like,
I
they're
know, but
cynics.
it's not me. It's not me. And I refuse. I've seen it happen to people in my life. Like these people that end up just watching the news in their prime time of their life, like from the 30s to 60s, and they just get devoured by news and this feeling. And they just waste.
I mean, that's kind of news's job, like broadcast news. It's designed to sort of trigger a reaction. And then once you are thrown that many sort of triggers, you become inured to it. You have
Exactly.
to. You can't necessarily like stay in reaction mode to a torrent of like headlines that are designed to elicit extreme reactions.
Yeah,
from
fear and anger
Yeah.
and all of that. And but I just feel I'm very aware that the limited time that we're here, especially the good years when you've got all your shit together, it's very short. So I'm not going to waste that by giving up. And I know there's huge problems. I know there's a lot going on. It doesn't mean put your head in the sand and, just be happy. But there should be some hope in it, and you should kind of spread that around to the people in your life. And I truly, without trying to be corny with it, that's my objective.
No, I think that's balls.
Is trying to put it all through that filter. That is my. But to your question, my main thing that I'm communicating.
Keeping people engaged. You can't shut down the conversation. You have to rope them in. I mean, does that sound right? I mean,
just have a little hope. There's nothing, hopelessness. What does it get you? I don't understand it. Like,
well, I think people want to not, they want to be teed up so that they're not disappointed, because disappointment, sort of setting up an expectation of something positive and then having that expectation dashed is crushing, versus sort of walking into the situation with like, well, this is all going to turn to shit. And then instead their ego is affirmed because they were right that everything was
or be realistic and lower your expectations of what that is.
Yeah.
When I say hope, I don't mean to think that like the world is going to be this, parade every day. Be realistic. This right now is a special moment. Like us being able to sit, funny people having a moment in the middle of an afternoon when other people are working and doing all these hard things, and we get to sit here and fuck around and have bottled water and some laughs.
There's going to be food. There's going to be food. This is a food podcast. Before we get in, I realize we're making bumper stickers. Are you hungry?
Because I did come.
There is food.
I started to think that there
I don't have any hope, but we got food.
Not to wax his canoe, but just so you know, Tom Papa, I came in here starving, and I have genuinely been so engaged in the conversation that I forgot how hungry I was.
I forgot there was
until this idiot brought up food.
I just want to know, and this is my question for you. You're from New Jersey. You're from the East Coast. This is not a hopeful area. My family, very negative people. And I would assume because you're from this area, it's just everything is.
I see it when I come back too a lot.
It's that hope crap. He lives in L.A.
It's more clear. No, but I had it as no though. But in all fairness, this was something that was ingrained in me since childhood, from grandparents who had nothing, and lived with incredible optimism and positive thinking. They were just like. And when I say like lower your expectations, it's kind of how it was their mantra. It was like, they were literally sitting there with with nothing, but just like so grateful that we're all together and we get to spend this time, and this is what a great day, and the Yankees are on. It was like there was that thing of like, shut up, stop complaining, and go.
I love that.
It was
I
hammered.
Don't have that, but
it was
I
definitely
love it.
Hammered into me for sure. And look, it's something you got to kind of cultivate. You can't. It's not a natural way to be.
It requires rehearsal, I imagine. Positivity in the world, you know what I mean?
In New York City.
And staying right-sized, because I feel like there's a lot of...
there's
a lot of be the best, get more, achieve more, like want this. There's a lot of, in a capitalistic, sort of celebrity-driven, distraction-oriented culture.
Instagram, watching everybody's feeds, what they're doing.
Be the best.
That was the theme of my last book and special was "You're doing great."
I know. I watched
Jesus
it,
Christ.
And you're doing great. And it really was. And again, that conversation with the audience.
It's super fun.
The audience was spitting it back at me. I just started saying it on stage, like, "You're doing great. If you were able to come to this show, you got a couple dollars in your pocket. You did it. You've actually done it. All the stuff you're seeing on Instagram is a distraction. You've actually achieved it. You're doing great." And people would come up to me after the shows, saying, "That part when you told us you were good, thank you. Thank you for saying that."
Jesus.
Because nobody says that to me. And I realized, holy shit, we're all feeling that. And you are doing great.
I don't want to mess up your bit, but like the whole thing, like, you're not going to the Olympics.
You say you're an Olympic you don't have the body of an Olympic athlete. You're not an Olympic athlete. But you're done from sales.
People are destroyed by that. Like, so many more people are destroyed by sort of outsized expectations of life and ambitions than are satisfied by achieving it.
Totally. And in the expectation, like that thing, it's false. It's false. Like I had a thing I forget even the joke, but it was about like looking at people on Instagram and they're posting themselves, getting on a private jet, and here we are at the Eiffel Tower. Yeah, okay, but they don't post waiting for their luggage.
Jesus.
For an hour and a half.
By the way, private jet overrated.
The husband having diarrhea in the fancy hotel room for an hour because he ate too many tarts.
I did a private gig last year in Hawaii, and they flew us on a private jet, and I've never been on a private jet. And a friend of mine was like, "You should go first class, don't go private jet." And I was like, "Why?" And they're like, "First class is way better, and you don't know who you're going to be on the jet with." And I was like, and I did the private jet. I'm like, this sucks.
Oh, really?
Like, it's such a small area. And I'm like, I don't want to talk to this guy.
Oh, really? I thought you were going to say because once you taste it, you're never going to go back to it.
No, it's not that fan. Like, it's nice.
Yeah.
It's like big chair, I guess, but like you're not getting, like, at least, you go first class, there's a stewardess, like
there's a social component to it for sure.
Yeah. It's not
But the plane leaves when you show up. That's the best part.
Yeah,
that's real.
If it's your private jet.
No, it wasn't. I don't know if you've seen my act. No, it's not private jet money yet, Tom.
No, but I'm saying like if it is yours in theory, then it leaves when you leave. Like that part. Like you were with other people, so you were still kind of beholden to a time.
I assume you're reflecting of your experiences with Seinfeld, and that's why you're like, oh, it's great. Me and Jerry have a ball. What do you mean? You didn't like it? I'm like, yeah.
What a bummer. I have to talk to Jerry Seinfeld all the way to Atlanta.
I had a tech guy.
Not to Atlanta.
Yeah.
No,
but I do think I remember before I was a comedian, I loved George Carlin, and watching Carlin, there was one special that he did where he always railed against everything and told you how bad everything was in a very funny way and made you think. But he would always give you a little hope at the end. He would always give you a little something you can hang on to. And one special he didn't. He was bleak the whole way.
Right after his wife died.
And good night.
Aww.
Yeah, that was right after his wife passed away.
Yeah,
of course.
I didn't know that, and I was so broken after that special because he didn't give me. He just left me waiting for him to come back another couple of years from then without any hope.
It's a cliffhanger.
A very bleak cliffhanger, and I just remembered that. I keep that in mind now, like that. It's not a good. I like people to leave the theater, like you're saying, like just you like people to have a good time when they're there. You want them to send them out like it's okay.
Yeah. Well, I think just culturally, Carlin became such a voice of dissent.
Uh-huh.
I think that sometimes dissent has to kind of look ugly. It has to.
It does,
sort of,
for sure.
Like not to take away people's hope, but sometimes you have to motivate them with like, oh, and by the way, like if you just sit on your hands, this is going to turn to shit. So feel a little bad, and then get off your dead one.
You're exactly right. But being completely hopeless and just throwing your hands up and like, well, it's all shit. So what do I care? You're lacking responsibility in that way. You're not helping. So you got it. Whatever keeps your engine going. Look, Mark Mehran is not getting up there trying to cheer people up. but he makes you think. But he makes you think in such a great way that is motivating. For his cynical way of doing it is actually hopeful in the end. He would hate me saying that, but it's true. I think look, there's real things out there and there's real problems. But you also have your own little life to live, and you should try and enjoy it because you're going to be having trouble getting upstairs eventually.
And no one's going to remind you to do that necessarily.
No, it's on you.
That's not a hopeful note.
It's on you.
Well, no,
but this is it. This is think about your career and think about how quick it's going. Think about when you started and what
we've
you
known
got
each
ahead
other
of you.
8 years.
Yes, it's been a while.
But it's also felt like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. We're all gonna die. All right.
It's very quick.
God, I'm so hungry.
Yeah, please bring some food.
Wait. Okay, so my next two questions, and because I have to take it from one thing, and then we have to get into food. One, the first book you wrote.
Yes.
Right. What was that period like? Because you're used to writing, going out, presenting.
Yeah.
Right. And there's that immediate feedback loop. You decide you're going to write a book. You're committing to a certain sort of period of isolation, and that. What is that like? That first book commitment.
It was pretty great. I know from a lot of my comedian friends who have written a book, and they said they write one, and they're like, I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
I had the opposite. I had, because I always like writing for stand-up, and now I had like this goal, and I had to get like a ritual of how I was going to do it. And I just fell into this cool rhythm of like, get up, get your coffee, go sit at the desk, and crank it out. And it started to become, something I looked forward to. And some days were nothing, most days were nothing, but there's this great Israeli writer, Amos Oz, and he said writing is, you're like a shopkeeper, and it's your job to open the shop every day. Whether or not it's a busy day, whether or not something good's going to happen, that's really not up to you.
Do you shower up, get groomed, look good when you go to sit down? I see.
Yeah, I need water. I need water.
This.
I need water on my face. I need to shower. Splashing the water is not enough. Shower, coffee, but keep your phone away. Don't start looking at the news yet. Sit down, open the shop.
This is
exactly and I started
what
really
I
looking forward to it, and it evolved, because it was the first one. It became something really fun to do.
Dedicated space.
Yeah, and I really, really, really loved it. I really enjoyed it. And then once it's all down, then going back and rewriting it, that's the real joy of making it better, making all of your horrible things better. It's kind of upsetting that every time you look at it, you see something. Like I'm at that stage now with this one where like the copy editor has it, so I haven't looked at it in like 3 weeks. And I know as soon as I look, I'm going to be embarrassed. Like, oh, I can't believe I let her read this.
Oh, yeah, perpetually dissatisfied.
Perpetually. There's always something. Like, why am I repeating myself in 2 paragraphs? Right? I just said this. Why am I saying it again? And all that kind of stuff. But, and then once it was over, I was like, I want to do it again. I just started going into the next one immediately.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I really
So
like
much
it.
work.
You have to be isolated. You really do. To write, you really have to. It's all about, the only thing that's going to stop you is interruptions. And it's tough to live a happy life.
Your poor kids are like, raise us. And you're like, I'm writing. I can't. I'd love to, but
that kind
like
of synced. That kind of synced up great because they were like teens at that point, and they're not that interested in what you're up to in your office anyway. It's but you do need the isolation. I do kind of have this fantasy of like getting a house. I don't know where, like Vermont or something, and just really being isolated and seeing what that would do.
Huh. You can do an Airbnb. You can do it for a month or something. You can.
You can.
We did during COVID. We, got a house in the Catskills, disappeared, fed deer.
Was it good?
It was really special. My partner and I never took a honeymoon. So like the 3 months we spent out in the mountains, like watching winter turn to spring, vernal pools, like it was as magical a chapter as I think the two of us might ever.
I was in the
amazing.
city and I watched them burn it. It was magical the way the ambers kind of.
Right, I love
like
it here
fireflies.
so much, and we're always toying around with coming back and like splitting our time again. Now the kids are going to school and stuff. I was walking around the other night after dinner and making my way to this. It literally smells like rodent now.
It's
like,
rough.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always used to it smelling like pee or smelling whatever, but it has that rodent.
Oh, I know.
Musk, it's like
It's rough.
Yeah,
It's rough right
It's their
now.
pheromones. It's their mating pheromones, knowing that all these rats are
Just Mehran.
signaling, and which
He's mating.
which I respond to. So now
so upsetting.
we have to get to food because food is coming.
Yeah,
I
it's
want
coming.
to
It's
know
gonna be
how
here in like
this food
30
works.
seconds.
How's the food work?
So we have Chef Raph with us. He's our in-house cheat day chef. Now, I don't really know what he made you. I sent him what you sent me.
Which is
and the
what?
barbecue.
He
And
doesn't
we,
tell
Liz
me
said
anything.
that she was on it. Liz
she's,
said
I
that
showed it to her. Yeah.
That she was like,
The man's aloof. Like it was like, what do you like to eat? Heard nothing. And then I was like, how about this? And he's like, I like pasta and barbecue. I'm like,
Pasta and barbecue are both great things.
Great. Thanks,
I love
Tom.
Listen, bread,
well, I
pasta,
thought you'd
barbecue.
come back
I'm
and
in.
be like, well, do you want?
I sent you the Instagram thing. You didn't see that. So
Oh,
we
no.
came up with.
I saw the
something.
Instagram. I
Oh,
saw
okay.
his
It's-
Instagram.
it's his
It was
stuff.
very impressive.
Yeah. So he's made you something. I showed Liz the menu just to be like, is this okay? I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
So it's coming out in.
Why don't you have an idea?
If it's okay or not?
Yeah.
Because people's food taste is very personal. You'd be surprised. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
And people lie about it too.
Oh, really?
Oh,
my
all the
God,
time.
dude. It's so insane. Like I've had people. I'd send them. We used to do a questionnaire, and they'd be like, I don't eat gluten. I don't eat this. I don't eat that. And you'd be like, oh, what do you love to eat? And they're like, I love Taco Bell. I'm like, that's everything you just said you don't eat.
Yeah.
Like, it's
what do you eat when you're
lie?
being naughty? Salmon.
yeah. Oh, that was Moses.
Come
Storm.
on.
You think it's a shame?
Moses-
No, 2 people gave us salmon.
Moses gave us salmon, and Rachel.
Rachel.
She just wanted something decadent. She wanted to be taken care of. Like she works.
Fancy.
She's married. She has a child. She just
Right.
wanted to be spoiled a little bit.
Right,
So nice.
right.
So,
I'm a
yeah.
garbage can. I eat everything. Everything.
Same.
Is there one food you don't like?
Too fishy a flavor profile, like sardini, anchovy.
Oh, I love that.
That profile, I'll run for the hills.
what do you do for fast
I
food?
really
Tom?
love that.
Do you eat fast food?
I don't eat fast food. No, I stopped eating when I was in college. Was when everyone was railing against McDonald's for the first, like, really about how bad they were for the environment and all the rest. And I stopped eating fast food then, and I'll eat In-N-Out in California. But
So good. In-N-Out is so
But that's it. And even like as a touring young broke comic, I'd eat in like gas station food marts before I never once like went to a drive-through and got a burger or fries.
Because the food culture you grew up in, it sounded like your family was pretty.
Yeah, it was
like,
very. Yeah, it was very
Together.
Together, yeah. But yeah, the fast food, I just kind of swore it off and then when I would go back and eat it, you'd get so sick. I was like, I'm just not doing this. So yeah, no fast food.
So
Why
not,
do you?
It's,
Do I eat fast food?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because I don't use that.
I get a Big Mac, no bun.
No.
Everything but the bread.
Do you like In-N-Out Burger? You know it's Christian owned.
I like In-N-Out everything.
If you look on the bottom of
Are
the
they?
cup, oh yeah, if you look on the bottom of the cup, there's a Bible verse. So
Is there really?
Oh, is there?
you're supporting hate.
I'm fine with that, honestly.
Chick-fil-A, bring it on.
Yeah. I mean, you can't win them all.
I'm an impatient person. I'll go with I'll make the best choice at the closest place. You know what I mean? So like, if it's a McDonald's, or I'm doing a McDonald's salad. If you know what I mean, like I try.
Right,
I
yeah.
try, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I'm gonna eat. It's a big
You're
part of
gonna
my day.
eat,
It's a big
yeah.
part of my day.
It is. But yeah, no, I find different spots. I don't do that.
But you keep it generally. I mean, it sounds like you cook with love. You cook in the home.
Oh, what do you cook? What do you
do.
make?
Right.
What's your go-to dish?
Mostly Italian. Anything Italian. It's always Italian based, unless I'm grilling and stuff like
Dad's
that.
cooking. What's he making?
Rigatoni
Yes.
with our own sauce.
Yep.
I have this. My really good one is it's a rigatoni with a pepper-based sauce.
Hell yeah.
And mix in with Gruyere cheese and then put it in and bake it.
Do you make your own
It's almost like a
rigatoni?
baked ziti,
Yeah.
but with.
Do you make your own rigatoni?
No, I don't. I
That's
don't.
busy. That's a very
the
busy thing to do.
hypocrisy.
Yeah.
You'll make bread, but
Have
no
you-
pasta.
Do you not remember
You son of a-
Mateo
Someone
Lane?
was
Very
giving me shit for this
Italian.
last night.
but
He's
the
a firm
nerve of this
believer in
guy.
dry pasta. He's like, you have to make stuff with dry pasta. What's wrong with you?
It's a big ask. I can't.
It's too mush.
Yes.
But do you jar your own? Like, do you do any canning? This is where you get into
my
it.
family did. My sister runs a farm in New Jersey, a nonprofit called City Green, and they create produce for all of like Patterson and Passaic and Clifton and all of these great places and learning gardens. And they do all this stuff. So they had a ton of tomatoes. And last year we canned our first tomatoes.
So cool.
It was a really cool process. It was. I don't know how good it turned out, but it was really.
I'm
pretty
sure
great.
it was excellent. I mean, it beats versus the mass production.
Yeah.
That's just moving like tons and tons of
Yeah.
tomatoes, and that the
They do say that you should, at the very least, like I use Cento a lot, and go with the whole tomatoes. And if you have to break it down yourself, do it. But at least that you know and can see that this is tomatoes, where the crushed and the pureed are like
very real.
some other stuff will, lesser tomatoes will get in there.
Yeah. Grapes that they
But I
injected
love
with-
nothing. I love nothing more than
carcinogenic
coming
red
home
dye.
on Sunday after being on the road. Take the first flight, get there early, and then just spend the whole day in the kitchen.
I love that.
Baking and doing all of the food for the.
He also
for
has
the
a lovely
family.
house. I've seen his house. Really nice.
Well, I
Really nice.
imagine.
Really nice.
The man's
Nice
worked
kitchen.
his ass
It's a nice
off
kitchen.
and
You
crushed
walk
it.
into it,
you
you're
know?
like, I have God jokes. You're like, what? How is this possible?
So, in general, you eat like a human being. You eat like thoughtfully. You're not like I feel like I picked up on. Yeah,
I'll go off.
What is the going on?
Nachos are a huge thing.
God love you.
Wings are a huge thing.
Yes.
Nachos
are. I mean, I don't even understand. Whoever cooked that idea. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cilantro, guacamole, like avocado, olive, onion.
What's your
right?
favorite dish here at the Comedy Cellar?
My favorite dish here, if I'm just rolling in, like just for a spot and want to eat something that's good for me, like I'll have the Greek salad with chicken skewer on it.
I do this. This is what I eat.
That's a great
Forget
thing.
about
'cause you
good
get
for
a
you.
little
What's
tiny
your
cheese.
favorite thing here?
My favorite thing are the Tom Papa nachos.
Yeah. Tom Papa nachos.
That Liz kept on the menu, even though they changed
Hey
it.
now, watch out! Here you
What
go.
is going on?
What is this?
Come
oh my
on.
God!
Oh, is that like a carbonara?
Dude.
It's not, but I will tell you what it is.
Dude.
I'm
Raph?
smelling garlic. Good job. This is what a beautiful
Oh, it smells
dish.
beautiful.
Good Lord. I got to take a picture of it
Raph?
just so I can
Yeah.
look
will
at it
also
when I'm alone. Yours has the good lighting.
I'm wicked psyched.
Beautiful.
It brought out
job.
the Boston in me. I turned into a complete.
Wow, wait.
Huh?
yeah.
I told you there was food.
I'm friggin' pumped, kid.
So, and once again, I just sent Raph what you
mouth.
told me, and then he decided this is what you should eat.
Oh my God.
My
Your
mouth.
your carb thing is really in trouble.
Yeah, no, you have to eat this, Ryan.
I'll be okay.
You
Don't worry
can't be
about
gay
me.
about it. Did you make the bread?
Raph, did you make the bread?
Are there little meatballs?
That is a real. He's really throwing. He made the bread, Tom. He's
Yeah.
throwing
Oh,
it down.
beautiful
That is a real ballsy
Oh, I've
move.
already licked a finger, and it's already insane.
Yeah.
I licked a finger, and it's
Let's
insane.
make
little
sure we give
meatballs
some
in
to Liz,
there.
and yeah, I'll
No,
pick
he's
out a
going to be
tip.
weird about it.
Okay.
He's not going to eat.
Yeah, go ahead.
He's
no,
not
I'm-
going to eat it?
Who? What? I am. I'm just making sure that everyone else
You
gets
better
taken
eat
care
all-
of.
You better clean that plate.
I'm not cleaning any
Beautiful
plates.
job.
I do see
This
meatballs.
is beautiful. So, Chef Raph, this is Tom Papa. Have you done this?
Tom, how you doing?
Nice
Pleasure
to see
meet
you. Nice to see you.
I'll just-
My name,
yeah.
my
Are
name
you
is
sure?
Raph.
You're
Yay.
a great
What
chef.
is this?
yeah.
What's going on
Yeah,
here?
what
All
is
right,
going
so you got a large format rigatoni with mortadella meatballs.
What is going on? What is going
A
on?
little bit of Calabrian chilies and some house-made herb focaccia.
Okay. Seriously.
And we have
House-made,
pasta
yeah.
for your daughter, so it's.
Oh, that's
Yes,
beautiful.
Yes. It's in the back. I'll bring it out.
Oh, you're a
Couple of minutes,
You're a
of
mensch.
course.
Oh, go
Talk to me
directly
about
to hell.
Talk to me about the mortadella meatballs.
Oh, I ate one already. It's fantastic.
Yeah, so I made some spicy Italian sausage and then just put some mortadella and then put the other usual suspects in the meatballs.
Is there anything wrong
It's
with this?
pound the table good.
It's pound
One
the
bite
table good.
into the dish and you're already pounding the table.
That like the heat that comes in about like 4 seconds after you take the bite. God.
Oh my God.
Come on.
Spicy sausage. Is there anything better in the world?
No, absolutely not.
So all I sent you was pasta and barbecue, and you.
Yeah, I decided to go the pasta route.
No, I mean you came up with this by just sending you the words barbecue and pasta.
That's true. Yeah, I sent you like a very long, weirdly worded message like 5 minutes after. It's like 2 in the morning as well.
Raph, I think this is my favorite thing.
Tell me
you've
about
made.
the sauce
Really?
again.
So the sauce is some chicken stock reduced down, a little bit of heavy cream, Calabrian chilies, Parmesan, a little black pepper.
Simple and
Yeah,
spectacular.
like there's not a lot of ingredients in the pasta, but that's kind of what pasta should be like.
Oh my
you
God,
know?
this is a perfect dish.
Yeah.
This
Thank
is a
you.
perfect dish.
For real, the breadcrumbs. Come on.
He also brought you wine.
Oh
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Yeah, to go
wine.
with the.
The wine will be poured by the wonderful Brian Lewis. He's just,
Hi, Brian Lewis.
right over here.
He thought of everything.
Now Liz from the Comedy Cellar was trying
was
to take
right there?
credit for this meal last night. How involved was she?
Oh, she's going to jump on mic in a few minutes.
Oh
Oh yeah, the
You better
there's
taste it.
there's a pasta
Liz,
for
do you
her.
want to taste it while it's
No,
still
there's
hot?
a dish over there for Liz.
Yeah, of
Okay,
course.
good.
Liz, that
Of
dish on the
course,
table's
that's
for you.
Yeah,
Better
please.
get
Wow.
into
Try the
it.
bread. Let's really. I want the expert's
Oh, of
opinion on the
course.
bread.
This is a perfect meal for the podcast too because it's not crunchy chew into the mic.
Oh, we don't mind. We like the food
Yeah.
noises.
No, I mean like I basically.
Who watches? It's like,
Without tasting the focaccia, you know it's great. It has this crisp outside and the you're just already in softness.
You just really want a lot of oil in the focaccia. You know, you put as much as you possibly can.
You believe in his bread?
I believe in this bread. I believe in this man.
it's like
Thank you very much.
literally, it's like trying to do comedy for a comedian when you make bread for Tom Papa. It's a real. You're really challenging.
It's no joke. So good. Focaccia, surprisingly not an easy thing to pull off. Doing it really well, right?
So that one, I didn't actually use. What is that thing called where you?
Sourdough starter?
No, it's you put like flour and water overnight. It's called a biga.
A Polish, or the Italians a biga.
Yeah. So I didn't actually do that. I just made it. Yeah. I just made it really quickly. Let it ferment or let it proof with a little bit of oil.
Let it proof for a while.
I mean, it took like literally 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
2 hours?
That was it.
No way.
Yeah, like it's kind of on the flatter side, you know.
Right.
So
yeah. If it's gonna be if you proof it longer, it'll be
right.
But the cool thing is it's not dense flat.
Right.
Yeah, that's an awesome job.
We actually got the bread from Delta.
Man, to be able to make focaccia in 2 hours, that's such a treat.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, no, there's a recipe that my friend gave me that it like barely proofs. And
I would love to have it.
Sure.
That really,
absolutely.
Because so many times, by the time I think about it, I'm like, oh, I need a full day and a half.
Right.
It's really good. I know. I know.
Yeah,
having a full body reaction.
That's like the typical way to make it. Like every time I've made it until maybe a couple months ago, it's always been that way, and it's also definitely a little bit better. But
yeah,
if you don't have a lot of time and you want to still make it tasty and special, and then it's also like about the herb oil you put on there, a little rosemary.
Yeah,
come on.
The real good olive oil is the key.
Exactly.
These meatballs are insane.
They're really good. I love the
unreal.
spiciness of them.
What made you think of putting mortadella into? You already had the sausage.
I had it on a charcuterie board yesterday, so I had a little bit left over, and I wasn't going to serve it today, so I just decided to.
Oh, it's really great.
What is it bound with? Like, what is in this meatball?
So it's just spicy Italian sausage. So it's like Calabrian chilies, garlic, all the usual suspects, ground pork, and then just a little bit of panko, eggs. And
he texted me last night and said it was going to be sexy pasta.
That's
that's literally how he sends me messages. He's like, "Oh, it's going to be sexy." I'm like, "I don't know what you're saying, dude.
He knows better than to send me that text. Like, I'm in a cab.
I'm aroused.
Yeah, that is for sure what I wrote.
Wow.
Now, come on, Tom. What? No other podcast feeds you. This is we're changing the game.
This is so good. Yeah, this is amazing. And
Thank
you know
so
what?
much.
As comedians, my thinking lately has been the big meal should be lunch. Because when you can't eat this right before you're going on stage
at all.
After you're getting close to bedtime, you shouldn't be eating it then. Lunch should be where we really go off. This timing is perfect.
That's like the exact opposite of my lifestyle.
Right?
I'll eat at 2 a.m.
You will.
Yeah,
But he's 11 years old and he works in a kitchen where he sweats all day.
I'm very old, 28.
You burn it off. You're an active, metabolically efficient, tall.
I mean, I haven't been working the line really in at least 2 years.
Really?
Explain what the line is.
So that's like when you're behind the stove, behind the grill. You're just working your ass off for hours at a time, not taking breaks. But yeah, I mean, I get to do it every now and again, which is it's blissful and I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like mostly I make menus and kind of taking more of like a managerial role.
Yeah,
so
man, you're
very
really
sad.
talented.
So talented.
So good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, the nice thing about this is when it's hard to get podcast guests now because everyone's got a podcast. But when you tell comedians there's a meal, man, you would have they're like, "What? There's food? I'll be there."
That's what Liz came up to me and she's like, "Are you a moron? Go do the podcast. You're going to have the best food of the entire week."
I grabbed Liz. I was like, "Liz, you got to get Tom for me." She's like, "Okay, when he lands."
I realized when I said that almost every conversation I start with Liz is, "Are you a moron?"
That's great.
Liz,
oh my God,
for the listener, Liz.
Liz is going to jump on in a minute. She's going to fill my chair. I got to run over. I got to go to Seth Meyers. Yeah.
Oh,
You've been
you
on Seth
go to
Meyers,
work.
Tom. I've seen you there.
Yeah, you got to go to work.
I'm a warm up, and you were a warm up.
I want to warm up.
He warmed up the View. One of my favorite stories. Go ahead.
It's so embarrassing.
No.
I filled in for somebody doing warm up at the View back in the day when Barbara Walters was on it, and I was I'll just tell a shortened version of it. I was a young comic, drinking late at night, sleeping till noon, and all of a sudden I get this warm-up gig to go to The View and do warm-up in the audience at like 7 in the morning. And I was out of my league. I had like 5 jokes. They were all dirty. I didn't know what I was doing. And I just started saying inappropriate things.
So a daytime audience, for those of you who don't know, is exclusively, at least in New York City, it's basically your sister and your mother from like New Jersey, Long Island, Staten Island, Connecticut. Yeah. So it's all women. And
all women, and they're very like, it's a Midwestern feel. Everybody's very proper. And they're like, we need more. It's not going well. They're just like, what is this man? Again, the inappropriate man standing up in the place, like shitting
before
on
an all-female panel
terrible.
show.
And they're like, we need you to stretch. We need like 5 minutes from you. I'm like, I got nothing. I gave you everything I got. And I went out and I had to walk out like onto the stage and I start like telling some jokes that just start and all of a sudden I see a frail Barbara Walters walking towards me. And I'm like, oh no, what's happening? Why is Barbara Walters? I'm bombing. This crowd's not laughing. Barbara Walters is walking towards me. What's about to happen? She just reached out and took the mic and went, no.
No! So you only did it the once?
And I was like, I couldn't fight it because she was right. She took the mic. She told some stories, and I went home.
I tried, like, in my mind, the worst thing that could ever happen is they cut your mic. I was wrong. The worst thing that could ever happen is Barbara Walters comes over to you and goes,
like
no.
Global television royalty. With one word.
Right. I felt like I disappointed like every elder woman in my entire life.
Oh, my God.
And then Barbara started doing the warm-up.
Okay, so when something like that happens to you, is it just, are you
How was your hope? Were you hopeful after that set, Tommy?
I was like, well, I don't belong there.
That's real.
That was a mistake.
That's real.
I got to get back to the comic strip and work on some real jokes. Wow. God, it's hard to talk during this because you just want to
Go ahead. I've had to pull my face away from the microphone like 5 or 6 times. So I can take an entire, and I don't do that. I don't just stuff. I'll make like a million dainty bites. I don't just shove. I'm shoving. I'm shoveling this into my big fat gay mouth.
Yeah.
Please do.
You don't have to be told that it's good. It's just when you just watch people just clear their plate with it.
So no, that is the thing when people stop talking during a meal.
Dude.
I like making the little meatballs. I've been really dialing in meatballs, and I make the bigger ones based on the Reiss.
Okay.
And it's always hard to fry those because you do the one side and then you roll it over and you get the other side and there's always that middle.
I would just start them in the fryer and then finish them in the pan.
Where's my wine?
Then,
Where is it?
then
Oh,
they
here.
will-
This is your wine.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
Then,
I
they'll like keep the integrity and then you'll still get the fond in the pot.
We're joined by Liz Furiotti.
Hi.
Right?
Hi.
It's a pleasure meeting
It's
you.
nice meeting you.
I'm Raph.
Cheers,
Seeing you.
cheers,
How are
cheers.
You know, is how this
course.
is how the lights stay on in this place. Honest to God,
It's amazing.
It is on her shoulders.
I've never seen anyone work as hard as Liz.
Did I steer you wrong, Tom, on this podcast?
No, you were 100. This is
so sweet.
yeah.
See?
I was really kind of like, I don't want to leave New York. I haven't really done enough after this meal. It's like
Yeah, you've done plenty.
I did it all.
You're done.
Yeah.
And Liz
this
cares
is-
about her Italian food. She does.
Oh, yeah.
How
I'm
do
an
you feel?
Italian food snob. We know
Yeah,
that.
she is. And how do you feel about this?
This is
Yeah, let's see when she
delicious.
starts eating. it.
This is delicious.
Do we have
What
any
are
for
some
the
of
kid
your
over there?
What are some of your spots that you go to?
Honestly, I just went to Pepe Rosso on Sunday. Have you ever been to Pepe Rosso?
No.
I haven't. I don't really
Pepe
go to a lot
Rosso?
of restaurants.
Is literally the same recipes from my high school cafeteria. I went to high school in Rome, so
Oh,
it's
I didn't know
literally
this
about to
about
say-
you.
I was about to say that sounds
literally
horrible.
no.
Allora.
Yeah.
But
It's
a high
like
school room, that
perfect,
makes
just
sense.
like-
Okay.
Everything. They do
Wow.
like carbonara off the menu. They do
Wow, that's
cacio
awesome.
pepe off the menu.
And wait, and your school had delightful food like that in Italy?
Yes.
Come
yes.
on. We're all doing
And it's
it
like
wrong.
the same
I know.
recipe. So I am a
we
big
were not
Italian
eating
food
that
snob.
in high school.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
Big Italian food snob. This is delicious.
I was in
though.
love with Liz, and then I heard her tell her all her Rome stories and talk in Italian, and I was like, all right, I think I might have to marry you.
Yeah.
I mean,
We're just gonna go to Italy and eat our way through Italy. It's gonna be lovely.
Did you make
throw
a
a
ver-
camera
did you make
on
a
that,
version
make
with
$1 trillion.
I know.
Are you kidding me?
There's some in the back. I'm gonna bring
Liz
it
and
out to you
Papa?
after.
without the meat stuff?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're a mensch.
it's fully vegan.
Oh, nice.
So what is
Yep.
the sauce on this? Tell me again.
So it's just like a spicy Parmesan cream sauce.
Okay.
Little chicken stock. yeah, I mean, I just wanted you to taste the meatballs.
The meatballs are delicious.
You know,
Right.
They're
And
really,
this is
really
fresh
delicious.
rigatoni that you made.
Nah, so it's not really a
It's
pasta
dry
that you want
pasta.
fresh. You know.
This
Right.
is a dried pasta.
It's dry pasta.
Yeah. No, I
because
just.
it holds up more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just
Toothsome.
wanted to, I just source the best possible dry. I mean, it's not actually called rigatoni. I don't remember what the name is, but it looks like it. It's bigger.
When you say you sourced it, is it chef's secret or are you allowed to tell us
No.
what pasta we need
I
to
went
buy?
to. There's this place. It's on 4th, in between Bowery and 2nd. It's like really close to the place that I'm at all the time now. So I was just getting coffee there 2 days ago. I was like, oh,
What place?
I don't remember the name.
Because
Remember
there's
really good,
Is it
though.
across from the firehouse? It's also a restaurant. Is it Il Buco?
No.
Listen to this one.
No. They
She knows this city.
I know.
They serve sandwiches for lunch. They serve coffee, and then they have like a very limited selection of like only really really dope Italian products.
Oh, nice.
But it's really good. Like they're all
Fourth,
Italian.
between
inside
Bowery
there.
and Second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blocked it.
Yeah.
Are we walking?
I mean, maybe.
I
come
I'll
back.
be going there right after this. I'll be going back to this place called Short Stories where we're taking over the food program there. So I'm kind of like in and out of there all day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Raph, you're so deserving. I mean, literally, this. Do you know what I mean? I don't run into food like this in the city, and I eat out.
You would
just
spend
cook
50 bucks
Italian,
on
or,
this
like,
in a restaurant.
What do you do?
Easily.
No,
Right.
no. I really my style. Sorry, that's
Like,
me.
that's not my phone.
That's my alarm to call my grandmother.
Heard.
Yeah, no, for real.
We're eating the Italian food of a boy who sets an alarm
That's
to call his
right.
grandma.
Oh, nah.
Come on.
There's only one left, so you gotta.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really Italian food's probably it's not really my style. Like I've worked in restaurants of all different, styles of food, countries. I really really enjoy to like kind of dive into one culture.
Yeah.
And like just try to learn as much as I can about that specific type of food. And then just like use ingredients that I've never used before, and you're not going to do it well at first, but yeah, it's kind of what I appreciate the most about food. Like you can learn every single day, and like you should keep learning every day.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like seasonally there's vegetables and fruits that are available. Currently, it's a great time.
So, if not Italian flavor profiles, which
Then what?
ones? Yeah, then what?
I
Because
really,
for me, I'm sorry, but like I'm Iranian, we have our very specific we have lovely
So
flavors.
good.
and
No, I
everything.
mean-
Yeah,
but
spices,
Italian,
this, that,
I mean, I
damn,
love
Italian.
that. My mother lived in Haifa, so that was she's like taught me a lot about food from there. I really really like Asian flavors. Food from Mexico, food from South America, food from Eastern Europe. I mean,
So now that you're going into this new establishment and you're sort of curating this menu, what kind of menu are you going to curate? Yeah.
So, I mean, this is like probably the 5th or 6th time that I've done this in like the, like a year and a half. So it really, what I've learned is that it is a fucking business, and it is not an art project. So, you really just cater towards the people that go there, and you want to do it. You want to take as little time as possible and do it.
In a way that's reproducible,
Right.
But you still didn't answer my question. What kind of food is it going to be?
Right. So
Ride it,
it
Liz.
is bar
Get
food.
the truth.
It's bar food, but it's a little elevated, and it's
Like what?
So we have like a fried chicken sandwich on the menu.
Nice.
Yeah.
Pigs in a blanket.
We have
Yep.
some
I love.
oysters.
Don't even play. I love pigs in a blanket.
They're so good.
Pigs in a blanket.
Love-
No,
I'm at a wedding.
absolutely.
I love
Could not
pigs
agree
in a
more.
blanket.
But yeah, there's like some oysters. We're doing some samosas.
Damn.
There's
These are
Yeah.
all like happy guilty. Like if I'm
Yeah.
drinking a samosa, are you
Right.
kidding me? How lovely.
I mean that's the whole point, like you want to make it salty, kind of spicy.
With that goofy tamarind sauce, come on, a little sweet, a little
I didn't go
fried.
that far.
Oh,
I mean,
I
I would
like
have.
I like the
I would
expression
have.
jerking a samosa.
Yes. I've recently, in the last couple weeks, jerked a lot of samosas.
So really, but you're saying so the not. By the way, Tom Papa, you talked about Liz preserving the Papa nachos. What are the Tom Papa nachos
God.
versus?
High maintenance.
I want to know about this.
They're high maintenance
The
because
nachos-
Tom Papa is high maintenance.
Uh huh.
Demanding.
High maintenance.
discerning.
High
Discerning.
maintenance. Oh, please. They're nachos.
clearly he
They're
can't.
nachos.
But
Yeah, but the Comedy Cellar, the Olive Tree, had these legendary nachos, and it was such a brilliant stroke. The bad part about nachos is when all the stuff mushes together and coagulates, and you get through half, and you're like stuck
fair.
with this thing.
Real talk, yeah.
So what they did, they came up with, we'll give you a big thing of chips with the cheese melted on it.
Yeah.
And all the things that go in the nachos come on the side.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And you
That's
can just
Tom
go to
Papa
I
style.
remember this.
And
Tom
then
Papa
they
style
changed the
is-
menu, and they went
Change
back
the
to
menu. They put the shit on the nachos because people like shit on the nachos. Tom Papa style is everything's on the side.
Well, it's also like a lot of real
High
estate on the
maintenance.
table.
Yes.
It's a lot of real
And
estate.
nachos
that
are
does
meant to
seem-
be shared, which we're teaching Tom about. But nachos are meant
They're
to be
so
shared,
good.
which means that everybody
Don't
needs
you
to like
share
dig
it.
Every time I tell my
in.
shows here and I order the Tom Papa nachos, everyone at the table is ecstatic. Wow, this is brilliant. Why
Tom
didn't we have
Papa
nachos
nachos.
the other way? The other thing that Liz does for me, and I don't think this is snobbish either. I like martinis. I like
As
a
do
nice
I.
cold
I like
martini.
a lovely martini.
Yeah.
But
And
Fair enough.
nothing worse than a martini being ruined with those little shitty
Manzanilla
cocktail
olives.
olives. Those green,
Okay, sure.
Like
Yeah, true.
like
Yeah,
breaking
yeah.
apart olives.
Yeah.
I like a nice green olive,
Like a
like a
like a
queen
deli-
size,
yeah,
like,
like the
a
size of
yeah.
your thumb.
Yeah.
And they don't have those, so Liz is so gracious. She makes
So
sure
gracious.
that there's Tom Papa olives behind the bar.
Are you
And this is
kidding?
for a comic that is an LA comic.
Yeah.
Doesn't even live in New York.
I know. Believe me, I know.
Why
I
do you
know
always
what a
have to hurt
rare
me by
gift
saying
it is.
You always have to bring that up. You know,
That you're an
I'm
LA
a New
comic?
Yorker at heart.
100%. But you, I mean, like, we all know when you're in town, it's always like a treat when you're in the city.
Because the
Because I
nachos
complain.
are out.
Because I complain. Tom Papa.
Well, I mean, you have to be behind like the special olives and the, we just get
Yeah.
to, you know.
That hardly sounds like a diva. Getting nachos with the shit on the side and,
Right,
and a
right,
decent olive that doesn't
right.
break apart.
Like my own olives
not
at a
too bad.
restaurant that does the kind of volume. I mean, it's love. There's
Yeah.
love in that.
I think so.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Liz.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Anything for you, Tom. We
You're
know
the
that.
best. You're the best. I'm gonna have to get this focaccia recipe.
Yeah, of
You
course.
made the focaccia as well?
He did.
Yeah.
And it's a 2-hour proof.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Come
yeah,
on,
it was
right?
like
He shortened the focaccia timeline by a day and a
That's
half.
delicious.
I don't
That's
understand
perfect.
it. It's delightful.
It's-
Look
yeah.
at it. Is there any left?
Like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
literally
just
like
didn't-
you cut that in half, put like 2 pieces of prosciutto in there,
it's a
Are you
perfect,
kidding?
perfect sandwich.
like pizza
focaccia.
bianca. Yeah,
Exactly. Like you wouldn't want to stuff it too much, but
No.
you know,
that's
dude,
really really good.
yeah.
When
Thank
we,
you.
when we started
Thank
eating,
you.
I was like, "That's a lot of meatballs. I'm never going to eat that." And
Yeah, you did a lot of work on that,
I only
man.
have a couple left.
You're about to
You
fly
have
across the country.
finished that plate.
That was a
You're
lot
gonna
of
sleep
food.
well on that plane, Tom.
It is.
Oh, it's so
Tommy
good.
Pops is gonna be snoring on that
How does
plane.
daughter like it? Does daughter like the pasta?
You like
We
it, Char?
love it. All right.
I mean,
Yes.
I've always made it a goal to give the guests too much food.
Yeah.
But you have succeeded.
I'm a
job.
garbage can.
I would absolutely be tearing this up, but if I don't bring it home to my husband, I feel like he would have like
okay.
a certain psychic right to leave me.
I'm gonna keep that in mind.
If I don't
Tom.
bring
didn't
him
know
home
that.
some of this, are you kidding? I
Yeah,
to
no, you
go.
have
I have
to.
to
This
bring him
has to
like
be
he has to
shared.
enjoy this.
Certain things you don't share with other people. You just keep it to
No, this
yourself.
should be shared. This is delicious.
Thank you.
Like I'll just eat it on the way home.
I mean,
Finish eating it. I might. I mean, it's-
Certainly done that before.
Dude.
I don't like
Certainly
that
not
you that the top foods that you don't like are sardines and anchovies.
Why
you don't
but
like sardines or anchovies?
okay. To explain, my
Crazy,
mother.
right?
Yeah,
I was
We
gonna
come
do
to
a first
America.
course with those actually.
Of what?
Yeah.
Were you really? Of like stinky fish?
they're not
Yeah.
stinky fish.
Yeah, my fridge actually it broke overnight.
Okay.
So I couldn't do the first course I was going to do. I was going
Which
to do
was
a lot
what?
of. It's going to be a lot of fried seafood. So it's gonna
Fried
be like
seafood.
octopus, anchovies.
Not afraid of
shrimp.
octopus. Anchovy. So
Yeah.
I'm from Iran. We come to America when I'm 3 years old because of the Iranian Revolution. My mother's on a list to be executed.
Whoa.
She married my doctor father when she was 19,
Wow.
and like had servants and cooks. Not even like you don't have to be especially wealthy in Iran
Yeah.
to have servants and cooks. But had cooks her whole life. We have to flee the country when she is 33 years old, has never really cooked. She doesn't know how to do anything. She's imitating foods that she sees on TV. She thinks that like pasta marinara is spaghetti and ketchup. She really doesn't know.
Right.
She really doesn't
I've had that
know.
before.
And
I know that was the thing we
like-
ate when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Sure.
like
It's
she
great.
would ground beef,
Yeah.
add ketchup to it like a
great.
hamburger, which she understood, and then throw some noodles around that and then eat, kids.
It sounds great.
Yeah.
But
I would eat that, no problem.
Fish, she really had no idea what she was doing.
Right.
And so the whole house would stink of fish, and I'm like this
Oh, yeah.
4-year-old who's just been robbed of father and country, and all I smell is fucking evil fish all over the house.
Right. That
so
makes sense.
I carry that with me. I am
That makes
like
sense.
my fish has to be innocuous. It has to be like a silent predator.
Like beautiful sardines in like a nice
Oh, it's the
olive oil
best.
and vinegar just on
best.
toast is absolutely delicious.
It will stain my mouth
It is
for the
It's
for
and
a
it's just
week.
like the most beautiful white little fillet, and then you put it on bread like a nice Tom Papa bread,
That's my
and
favorite.
like
That's
it's
my favorite.
absolutely
Have you had the
delicious.
Tom Papa bread?
Yes, I have.
How does one
I have.
acquire Tom Papa bread? Because we are
You really have to annoy
How?
him for about 3 years. And
What
then-
are some of the breads that you make?
My favorite is this olive bread that has green and Kalamata olives, herbs de
The
Provence.
thick ones, though. The thick
Yeah.
olives.
Yeah,
Got
chopped
you.
up. Chopped up.
Got you.
And then herbs de Provence and lemon zest. Add walnuts.
that is lovely.
Yeah,
What's the
it's
style of
amazing.
bread, though?
Sourdough.
Okay.
I had
No
Tom's
knead bread.
sourdough bread. It was, I mean,
No need.
When did you get
was
into making
ridiculous.
bread? Was it like a
Like
COVID thing?
seven,
or
no,
you-
it was like 7 years ago.
there's an article in the New York Times that you can read.
Yeah,
Right, Tom?
that's right. I had been doing it for like 2 months.
You're implying that I read.
Really, you've been doing it for
There's
2 months.
pictures. There's
If
pictures.
there's pictures,
You got to
of you
write up
making
2
bread,
months
yeah.
deep.
I had been doing it 2 months, and Sam Sifton from the New York Times was doing a article on sourdough bread. Excuse me, and out of the blue, they just called and they're like, "We want to come," and they heard me on Rogan's podcast talking about it, and they sent a reporter to my house, and there's a picture of me like holding my starter, and
Like, ah,
So to
bread.
circle back, we were talking about how you're kind of at this crossroads where it's like, does it stay a personal, private thing that like you only give to the Lizzes of the world, like the privileged, your select society, right?
Yeah.
Or do you then consider distribution? Do you
Yeah.
consider
I
Just
consider it-
letting the people
it's
buy
just-
it?
It's just
get
such a hard business.
You would have
get
to
into
quit
selling
comedy.
bread.
It is.
It's fucking brutal. You know.
it's really, really hard. I meet a lot of bakers, and
Yeah.
they work harder than anyone I know.
I mean, it's
Why?
Like, it's like you're going to bed at 10 a.m. You're waking up like at 3 in the morning. And I mean, it's just the sheer volume of bread you have
Yeah.
to make to even make $10 a day.
Is this
you know?
insane? Why? Because when you think about, I mean, like flour, yeast, water, salt.
It's time.
None
Think-
of
think
it's
about
It's the time
when you
and
walk
the
into
labor.
when you walk
rent,
into a coffee
you know?
shop,
Sure.
I know this
Yeah.
is so naive of my thinking, but when you walk into a coffee shop at 8 in the morning and there's a case filled with croissants and scones and bread,
Right.
you just think it's always been there for you.
Yeah.
But no, some
Yeah,
poor
somebody's been
bastard
there
just
all
at
night.
3 o'clock in the morning was making those
Yeah.
croissants. It's a lot of work, and
It's a
also
labor of love, but
shipping
also
bread around.
sucks.
Like, because I have a
Of
lot
course.
of people that are. Liz actually gave me the idea to start making biscotti,
Sure.
which you can
That
ship.
makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which you can ship as
Yeah.
like a gift and that kind of a thing, and
Yeah.
that might be a smarter way to go. Bread is tough, and
But
you
then you would have to get it tested as well. I'm pretty sure.
you can't
What do
just
you
do
mean
it from your
tested?
house.
Oh,
Yeah.
as in like FDA? Yeah.
yeah,
you
yeah.
gotta
which
be
is
legit.
the worst. Which is the worst. There's like there's different departments, I believe, for different things that you're
Yeah.
selling. I know that selling like pickles and stuff like that is the absolute worst to get it
Yeah,
tested.
yeah.
I don't know about biscotti, but
But no,
You
it does
like
open
in New
you-
York, you do have to get like the Department of Agriculture has to come in. You have to
Right.
get like a permit.
A way to
Which
do
you know
it.
all about,
A
yeah.
way to do it is to get someone who's already in production.
very
Uh-huh.
true.
And then just
And
hop on their
Yeah.
kitchen.
Put my name on it
Exactly.
and give them some.
that
of my,
isn't
give 'em
necessarily-
some of my starter.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
And so it has a little of the papa to it. But
Yeah.
I'm not in there at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean that would for sure be a seamless move.
Right.
It feels like it also opens one up to liability, right? Like if you're
Well, that's-
distributing food, then all of a sudden,
Yeah, I mean, well, that's also why you probably want to be like, all right, I'm going to go into this production
of.
kitchen. This
Right.
person is
Yeah.
working on this. I'll just
they
use
work
this
it out.
oven,
Insurance
this
though
day,
as well,
this. Yeah,
you know?
it's a
Yeah.
lot.
I mean, it's a
lot.
good name for bread. Would I buy Papa bread?
That is a very good
Would I
name
buy
for
bread Papa? Like 100%.
Maybe we'll talk after this.
Yeah.
Papa bread?
Yeah,
Papa
maybe
bread?
We'll do it.
I would do it in a heartbeat.
That's Tommy Pop's merch. Is
Tommy
just
bread.
Tommy Pop's
really-
biscotti.
Yeah,
really,
I make
really
my own yeast. Is on the back of the T-shirt.
Great name for breads and pastries
Yeah.
and what have you.
Yeah,
But
someone
that's-
just sent me a picture of a place where I don't know where he was traveling, but it said Papa Pizza. And it was actually
How
the way
dare they.
my peas, like it was actually I was like, what the? I got to get moving.
They're coming for everything, man. It's true.
Get on it.
Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah.
So is it just about, because this one has to get on a plane and stuff, no?
Yeah.
There's a car coming. Let me check if it's here. Oh, yeah, I think they are.
All right. So, listen, folks, let's just go around real quick and talk about who we are and where we can be found.
Yeah.
Dispatch.
You can find me at Chef Raph NYC and Something Good Hospitality. That's my company.
Okay.
Somethinggood.nyc as well. And yeah,
And this is good.
A
This
real
is
talent.
good.
A
It
real
is legit.
talent.
But for the record,
That's
if
why the
anyone was
name
going to
is,
tell you that your food sucked, it would have been
would be
Liz.
me, yeah.
Liz has absolutely, you know what I mean? She doesn't care about your damn
It would be
feelings.
me.
She doesn't care about your feelings. Okay?
That's what I want to hear, though.
Everybody knows.
Yeah, in a heartbeat.
Are you
You moron.
But that's what matters most. Like people can lie about, oh my God, I love your food, it's amazing. But when someone tells you like a constructive criticism,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
that's what you. That's
It
what you
wouldn't be
listen to.
constructive. It would be designed to destroy your spirit.
Also true.
Tom,
Either
where
way,
can we
either
find you? What do we?
I just want to go on record. I ate every one of the meatballs.
Yes, you did.
You did.
I'm leaving one piece of pasta just for decorum.
Right.
I'm gonna
Totally
eat. I'm
allowed,
gonna
yeah.
eat it.
Right.
The Breaking Bread podcast, Breaking
Yes,
Bread
sir.
with Tom Papa. That is where I bring people in and give them bread on the podcast and opens up conversations and stuff. That's you can do that and go to tompapa.com. You can be turned on to all my dates around the country.
And Tom has books. He's an author.
Tom has books.
He
Yeah,
is an
about to be a
author.
third time.
Yeah, everything's there. Tom Papa.
I've only gotten one of the books. I'd just like to point that out. Just one.
Yeah, because I gave her one after she harassed me and never.
But
read
notice,
it.
like,
Does Liz
there
get
had
kickback?
to
Does
be
Liz get kickback for this?
harassment.
She never read it. After this meal,
Well, when would she? The
after
poor
this
thing.
meal and this introduction,
I flipped through it.
It's not a pop-up book.
That's book number 4.
Liz, is there any way
That's
that
book number
how do the people stalk you?
Oh, I mean, I'm here all the time.
She is here
Just
all
come
the
to the
time.
Comedy Cellar. You can find me here yelling at somebody.
Right on. And I'm Mehran. I'm at the Mehran on Instagram. Ryan is at RR Comedy. We are at the Cheat Day Show on Instagram. You can follow us there and watch this and all the clips that we have of enjoying food with such wonderful friends.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you guys so much.
Thank
It's
you
been a
so
pleasure.
you.
Best
Bye,
podcast of the
everybody.
year.
We love you.
Thanks for listening to the Cheat Day Show podcast. To learn more about our show, the hosts, the comedians, our guests, our chefs, and more, visit our website, thecheatdayshow.com. Also, follow along with us on our social media at The Cheat Day Show on Instagram and Twitter. Future episodes can be found in all the places you get your favorite podcast. Our show is also sponsored by the world-famous Comedy Cellar on McDougal Street in New York City's Greenwich Village. Visit comedycellar.com for show lineups happening 7 days a week. Later, cheaters.